Europe, a continent absolutely packed to the brim with over 700 million people, where finding an empty square meter feels like a historic achievement. But if you glance at the far northeastern corner, the map tells a completely different story. Welcome to the Baltics, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. 3 countries, a massive piece of land, and a combined population of just over 6 million people. To put that into perspective, that is roughly 1/3 of the population of the Netherlands, a country so tiny you could practically cross it during a lunch break. So, what's the deal here? Why is this beautiful, strategically located Baltic coast emptier than a cinema showing a 4-hour silent movie? Is it the weather, the history, or did nature simply deal them a tough hand? As the old saying goes, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your geography. And for the Baltics, geography didn't just write their history, it actively decided how many people get to live here. Our answers begin right now with a very unique, highly chaotic set of geographic circumstances. To understand why nobody lives here, we need to talk about the ice. Forget dramatic alpine peaks like the Alps or the Pyrenees. The Baltics are part of the massive East European plain, a landscape flattened like a pancake by ancient glaciers thousands of years ago. When those massive ice sheets finally packed their bags and retreated, they left behind a terrain that is relentlessly flat, choked with dense forests, and absolutely drowning in rivers and lakes. This same flat, frozen geography is shared by Ukraine, Belarus, and Western Russia. Now, while the world constantly lumps these 3 countries together as the Baltics, treating them like triplets with the exact same personality is a huge mistake. Each country actually has its own unique geographic superpower. Estonia, the island nomad. Estonia is defined by water. It owns the West Estonian archipelago, a collection of over 900 islands where the population is as sparse as a desert. Its highest point, Suurmunamägi, is just 318 meters high. This means Estonia is flatter and lower than even the Netherlands. It's so flat, its massive natural border with Russia is literally just a giant body of water. Lake Peipus, the 5th largest lake in Europe. Latvia, the river master. If Estonia is about islands, Latvia is about giant drainage basins. The country is split in half by the mighty Daugava River, which flows all the way from Russia through Belarus before emptying into the capital city of Riga. They also claim Gauja National Park, locally nicknamed the Switzerland of Latvia. Though, to be completely honest, calling a place with 0 mountains Switzerland requires a very healthy dose of imagination. Lithuania, the Lake Kingdom. Down south, the forests take over, covering nearly 1/3 of the entire country. Lithuania has the shortest coastline of the 3, but they make up for it by having nearly 6,000 lakes scattered across their territory. They also share the Curonian Spit with Russia's Kaliningrad, an incredibly fragile 9-8-kilometer long sand dune dividing the sea. So they have a regulated temperate climate, plenty of water, and plenty of space. Geography made them unique, but it didn't necessarily force them to be empty. No, to find out the real reason behind the missing millions, we have to look at the one thing that truly binds them together. Because, as it turns out, their geography didn't curse them, but their neighbors certainly did. Let's be brutally honest. If geography dealt the Baltics a flat hand, history treated them like a geopolitical meat grinder. For centuries, these 3 territories were raided, partitioned, and conquered by almost every massive empire in the neighborhood. But their roots are completely different. The ancestors of modern Latvians and Lithuanians were Baltic tribes. Estonians, on the other hand, descended from Finno-Ugric peoples, which explains why Estonian sounds like Finnish, while the other 2 sound completely alien to them. Back in the 1200s, German crusaders marched into Latvia and Estonia. replacing their pagan lifestyles with swords and Christianity. But Lithuania said, not today. They resisted, built the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and by expanding all the way from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea, they became the single largest state in Europe at the time. Later, they merged with Poland in 1569 to create the massive Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Eventually, the fun ended. By the late 1700s, a rising Russian empire steamrolled through the region, swallowing all three territories whole. For over a century, Moscow forced a brutal policy of Russification, trying to erase their native cultures. But as the saying goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The oppression triggered a massive national awakening in the 1800s. And when the Russian Empire collapsed during World War I, the window of opportunity flew open. In 1918, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania finally tasted absolute freedom. That freedom lasted exactly 2 decades. In 1939, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union signed the infamous secret Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, casually carving up Eastern Europe on a piece of paper. What followed was half a century of pure nightmare. A year of Soviet terror, 3 years of brutal Nazi occupation, and then nearly 50 years of iron-fisted Soviet rule after World War II. Mass deportations to Siberia, suppressed languages, and stolen lives. This shared trauma is exactly where the modern, unbreakable bond of the Baltic states was forged. But you can only push people so far before they push back. In 1989, the collective spirit of these nations exploded into the Singing Revolution. 2 million people literally held hands to form the Baltic Way, a mind-blowing 675-kilometer human chain stretching across all 3 countries, demanding freedom. By 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and the Baltics sprinted toward the West, officially joining NATO and the European Union in 2004. Today, they are hypermodern, highly stable, and wealthy Western nations. So, if they survived the ice, the Crusaders, the Tsars, and the Soviets, and are now richer than ever, why are their lands still completely empty? Where did all the people go? Look at a map of Europe. The Baltics are surprisingly spacious. They actually have significantly more landmass than Switzerland, Denmark, Belgium, or the Netherlands. Yet, while their tiny northern neighbor Finland packs 5.6 million people on its own, this entire massive Baltic landmass holds just 6 million combined. Greece, which is smaller in size, holds over 11 million. The explanation isn't just one bad day in history. It's a brutal combination of wartime tragedy and modern economic gravity. During World War II, these countries became a literal meat grinder between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. They didn't just lose soldiers. The Holocaust entirely wiped out their thriving historic Jewish communities, fracturing the very foundation of their demographics. Then came 1944. Joseph Stalin's Red Army reoccupied the region, launching a cold-blooded campaign of terror. At least 124,000 men, women, and children were forcefully packed into cattle cars and deported to Siberian gulags. This wasn't random. Stalin systematically targeted the educated elite: teachers, politicians, scientists, and artists. They literally ripped the brain and heart out of Baltic society. While the Western world was celebrating a massive post-war baby boom, the Baltics were bleeding out. Young men fighting as Forest Brothers partisans were systematically hunted down in the woods well into the 1950s. When independence finally returned in 1991, the nightmare didn't instantly vanish. The 1990s brought severe capitalist growing pains. Unlike East Germany, there was no wealthy big brother to pour trillions of dollars into their economies. And then 2004 arrived. The Baltics officially joined the European Union. But instead of immediate golden age, open borders triggered a secondary demographic crisis, a massive economic exodus. The young, bright, and ambitious pack their bags and move to the UK, Ireland, and Germany for higher wages. The numbers are staggering. Between 1,989 and 2025, Estonia dropped from 1.6 million to 1.4 million. Lithuania collapsed from 3.7 million to 2.9 million. Latvia plummeted from 2.7 million to under 1.9 million. In just 3 decades, this region lost 1.8 million people. Combined with record low birth rates far below the 2.1 replacement level, their population rapidly aged. But don't write the obituary for the Baltics just yet. History shows you can never count these nations out. Against all odds, they are pulling off a tech-savvy miracle. Estonia's population has been steadily rising since 2011. Lithuania turned the corner in 2020. Only Latvia is lagging behind, but it's expected to join the growth trend any second now. Today, tourism is booming, wealth is skyrocketing, and their quality of life is among the highest in Europe. They survived glaciers, crusaders, Stalin, and a massive brain drain. Now, the world is finally realizing that these spacious, modern nations are the place to be. Speaking of jaw-dropping European geography that completely reshaped human history, you absolutely need to see how a single massive mountain range dictates the empires, wealth, and liquid gold of an entire continent. Click right here to watch our deep dive documentary on the secrets of the European Alps. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.